Okay, so picture this. You're an auditor. You're staring down a massive company with operations all over the globe, financial instruments that are just mind-bendingly complex, and IT systems that are totally custom-built. Your job? Sign off on their financial statements. But let's be real, there's just no way you can master all of that on your own.
So let me just ask you straight up. Can any single person really be an expert in everything? Can you be a specialist in real estate valuation in the morning, a guru in financial derivatives after lunch, and some kind of cybersecurity wizard by 5 o'clock?
Yeah, the short answer is no way. Absolutely not. And that's exactly why the best auditors out there are masters of collaboration. They know they need a team. They need allies.
And this, right here, is where the real skill of a modern auditor shines. See, the objective isn't to be some kind of walking, talking encyclopedia. It's about mastering the art of professional judgment, knowing who you can rely on, how to check their work, and then how to weave all those pieces together into your final opinion. It really all boils down to knowing who to trust.
And here we have it. This is basically our roadmap for this whole conversation. This diagram lays out what I like to call the auditor's three-legged stool of support. You can see the main branches right here: the company's very own internal audit function, the external experts you can call in, and the service organizations the company might be using. We're going to break down every single one.
So, with our map in hand, let's get properly introduced, shall we? It's time to meet the three key allies that you can, and honestly often must, rely on when you're doing an audit.
First up on the team, the internal audit function. You should think of them as your inside source. I mean, they're already part of the company. They live and breathe its operations and controls every single day. They have that deep institutional knowledge you're looking for.
But, and this is a big but, leveraging your inside source isn't about just taking their word for it. No, it's a super rigorous process. You've got to evaluate the quality, the adequacy of their work. You need to understand the scope of what they do. And only after that critical look can you decide if you're going to use their findings, and if you do, how. It might even mean using them for what we call direct assistance.
So what exactly is this direct assistance thing? Well, think of it like deputizing them. You're basically bringing members of the internal audit team onto your crew for a specific job. They're doing audit work, but, and this is key, it's under your direction, your supervision, and your review. It's a really smart way to tap into their company knowledge while you stay in complete control.
Okay, let's move on to our next ally. Sometimes you run into something that requires such specialized knowledge that no general auditor could possibly have it. This is when you call in the experts. It's kind of like a detective at a crime scene realizing they need the forensics team to analyze a really complex piece of evidence.
And again, it's not as simple as just making a quick phone call. There's a whole framework you have to follow. First off, do you even need an expert? Then you've got to figure out whose expert you're dealing with. Is it someone the company's management hired? Or do you need to bring in your own independent specialist? It's a huge distinction, and in some high-risk areas, it's not even a choice, it's required.
So, let's be crystal clear on this because it's a crucial point. A management's expert works for the company, helping them get their financial statements ready. Your job is to treat their work like any other piece of audit evidence and evaluate it. But an auditor's expert? They're on your team. They work for you, directly helping you get the evidence you need. Totally different roles.
All right, our final ally isn't someone inside the company or even a specialist you hire. We're talking about service organizations. You know, it's super common these days for companies to outsource critical functions. We're talking about things like payroll processing, cloud data hosting, or even managing customer relationships. These external companies are basically outsourced partners, and they can have a huge impact on the financial statements.
As an auditor, you just can't ignore these partners. You have to understand exactly how your client uses them. You need to get a good handle on their internal controls, and then you have to respond to any risks that pop up. A huge part of this is getting your hands on special reports from that service organization, which can actually end up impacting your final auditor's report.
And those special reports, they usually come in two flavors. A Type 1 report is kind of like a blueprint. It describes the system and says, hey, here's how our controls are supposed to work. But a Type 2 report, that goes a critical step further. It's the blueprint plus a performance review. It actually tests if those controls really worked over a period of time. So for an auditor, you guessed it, that Type 2 report is usually the gold standard.
All right, so we've assembled our team of allies. We know the rules of engagement, but let's be absolutely 100% clear about something.
There is one golden rule that trumps everything else, and it is completely non-negotiable. And here it is. You've got to burn this into your memory. Relying on the work of anyone else, I don't care how brilliant they are, never reduces the auditor's sole responsibility for that audit opinion. The buck stops with you. Always. Full stop.
I absolutely love this analogy. Think of yourself as the captain of a ship. You should absolutely use your crew, your internal auditors, your experts, your knowledge of those service organizations. They're all essential. But at the end of the day, you and you alone are responsible for steering that ship safely to its destination and signing off on that final opinion.
Which, brings us to a really fascinating final thought here. We've spent all this time talking about human allies. But what happens when the most powerful expert on your team isn't a person at all? As AI becomes the new expert, an expert that can crunch data on a scale we can't even wrap our heads around, how does that change the fundamental role of the auditor? How do you audit an algorithm? How do you hold on to that ultimate responsibility? That right there is the next great challenge for the entire profession.